Hi, all. I'm recording a quick video to explain the scraping file that's associated with optional lab 8. So let me share my screen and show you how I used rvest to build this scraper. Okay, so the data we're scraping is from ESPN. ESPN does some advanced analysis on various sports leagues. So this is one of their data tables for the NBA. And what I would like to do is scrape this data table, but you'll see that the information we actually want is on various pages. Right. So in order to do this, I'm going to need to know a few things. I need to know the URLs where all the data I want is located, and then I need to know the name of the data table in the HTML. And so let's go through and do that right now. So the URL is for the first page is pretty simple. Here it is. I'm just looking here in my browser. So that's what it's called. And let me flip over to R here. And so I've written this function, get NBA data. So this is just a wrapper, right? So there are no arguments because everything's being supplied inside. And so in your lab, you just run it without any actual arguments in the parentheses. So I'm calling rvest. That's a package used to do web scraping in R. And now I have a list of URLs, and so well, not a list actually. It's a vector, and every element is a string. So the first one is that address I just showed you. Now I have this other piece of code down here. Okay, so let's go back to the web page. All right, so I'm going to move forward. This is page 1 of 13. Here is page 2. Okay, so here we have this. So one part of it is going to be the same, but then there's 2 changes at the end. All right, so let me flip back over here. So what I've done is I've used this command, paste, and because this is the root, this is the same in all of them, and the only thing that's changing is then the page afterwards. So let me show you what this will do. I can actually run this bit of code. Run it down here. And you see what it does is it's pasting that number after the last backslash. So we get 2, 3, all the way down to 13. This is the separator, and the separator, so there's no separation whatsoever, and that indicates that the number should go immediately after the backslash. Okay, so that's the URLs. I put my URLs in. I'm initializing a data object here. That's what NBA.null is. Now I'm going to loop through my URLs. I'm using the read HTML command here on each of these web addresses, and now I am turning the data here into a matrix. Now in here is this code HTML nodes TD, and this is the part that probably needs a little bit of explanation. And if you haven't seen someone do it before, it might be a little tricky. So let me go and show you how to use selector gadget. Okay, so selector gadget is a wonderful interface and a way to figure out which block of HTML that your desired data is contained in. Okay, so what you do is you go to the selector gadget web page, make it a favorite. And so that's what I have over here, and I'm using Safari, but you can do this in whatever browser you want. I'm selecting, getting selector gadget turned on, and you'll note that this is opened up down here. So we now have some information down here we can use. So I'm going to select what I want. I want this data table, and notice that when I do that, I get H4. Okay, so let me flip back over. This is TD, so H4 is the header there. Now what if I start selecting more of this? Oh, I get TD. So this is the table is called TD. Okay, so the header for this table was called H4, and this table is called TD. Um, Now, suppose we wanted to look at something else, we could turn it off, turn selector gadget back on, and say we wanted this ad, right? Well, that ad's taking us the ad. But let's turn selector gadget back on. Suppose I wanted this. This is called .mod content. So that's not what we have. That's not what we want here. But for example, that's how we would get it. All right. So we saw that the table was called TD, and let me flip back to R now. So now I've used TD here. So now I'm giving a name for the nodes I want, and I'm extracting the text. And what I've done here is I've used the matrix command to turn that data right into a matrix. It's 9 columns. I've dropped the first one because the first one is just the headers, and then I end up adding those headers back in later on. And then the rest of this code, I'm just cleaning up the data a little bit. You'll notice that the players' positions come right after their names. So I'm using the string split command to divide the string in 2 pieces. And so what I'm doing is I'm getting the position, and that's what this is doing. It's taking the second part after the comma, and then this is getting the names, and this is the first part, before the comma. Then I've made I've reclassified the positions a little bit to make it simpler, and then returning the data. So that's what's going on. rvest is nice for basic web scraping. I suggest trying that out and adding selector gadget to your favorites. Okay, great. So that's how that scraper works, and there's an example of how to run it in Lab 8. All right, thank you.